Hello everyone, and today I'm going to talk about the depressing lore of Bloons TD6 in the entire series. The story begins with a video game called Bloons Monkey City, what I will consider one of the first games in the timeline. It may be debated, and I understand that some people will disagree with my opinions, but the point is the general story and trend of the games, not the exact order. And also, I have a friend, Cowstar333, who will be making an alternate view of the lore, and I will link his video in the description. But anyway, back to Bloons Monkey City. This is the first game in the story that is the Bloons Tower Defense games. On the face of it, you may not think it's a very lore-heavy series, and to be honest, it isn't really. But I believe that I have uncovered a secret lore. Something that may not have been intentional, but is definitely apparent when you look at the series as a whole. In Bloons Monkey City, the monkeys, which are the people that you control in this video game series, the monkeys began to form civilizations. They created a small dwelling, a city, a habitat for themselves, so to speak. It was even a society. There were different towers and things you could place, not to protect yourselves from the balloon, but towers that you placed for the city, for the good of the monkeys, a monkey society. And this is really the first game that we see this monkey society. The other games may have, hints of it with monkey villages, or, the opening screen may show some sort of town. But no, this is the only time that we've been shown a true society made out of the monkeys. In this game, you try to get land. You go in different grass areas and you take over them. And when you go into them, you enter rounds of balloons sending themselves at you. Basically, you need to procure the land for yourself. Push out some of the natives and different people, or the balloons, and destroy them. Maybe they already own the land, or they just don't like monkeys, but they attack you. The thing is, you kill them. You could say that if you do nothing, they'll kill you, so that they're the ones being hostile. But I think that you might be equally hostile. You don't attempt to smooth things over with the balloons, you just kill them. And for some reason that made them mad. Maybe they would have been hostile to you no matter what you did. Or maybe your acts of aggression just fueled the conflict. As you progress through the game, you must take more and more balloons, more and more land. You must pop more and more balloons. And it only gets increasing ever more. But because they don't care about you at the start. But later they start to mobilize forces. Having that many balloons would be difficult in the same way that you have to plan to place a bunch of monkey towers. So this is the first game in the series because it's when we truly begin to see the formation of a monkey society. They begin to work, but from the very beginning they have a conflict with the balloons. Some of the first actions in the game is fighting balloons. And they get angry. The more and more you fight, the angrier and angrier they get, the faster, the stronger. And after this, well, the monkey society gets better. You have many different towers in this game, but you have even more in some other games. After this, I would consider Bloons TD4 around about as the next game in canon, in the timeline. Perhaps 5, some may even argue that it's 6. But I'd say that 4 is a roundabout. A bit of the later games in the franchise, when the series really started to take shape and get more complex. Well, in these ones, you have even better towers. Rounds are longer, and the whole goal of the game is just fighting balloons. There is no town that you try to develop, you don't care about them. The only worry is the war on balloons. Firstly, you're losing the war on balloons. Partially. You do pop more balloons and they destroy lives, most likely. Popping 200 balloons or 100 balloons, depending on your difficulty, really isn't that difficult. But it will take them a while to destroy all your lives, especially if you know good strategies. But as you do this, you get not only better strategies, hopefully. But you also unlock more monkeys. You have longer games and harder, more difficult wars, more aggression, more open aggression. And it is important to note that they have developed a currency. They are truly a society now. This monkey culture has monkey money, and you can purchase things with it. At this point, they are, again, a fully formed society. But the balloons, they're giving you trouble, but you're still gaining more and more abilities. In Bloons TD5, which is a sequel to the fifth, and I would consider directly following Bloons TD4, you have even more towers. You have more upgrades, if I remember correctly. You are more powerful. You also have machines. Now, you did have machines in the original, or in Bloons Monkey Village as well. It wasn't just start monkeys. But it's important to note that this is truly a fully functioning society at this point. You can manufacture many, many machines. Bomb towers are a perfect example. There is no monkey piloting it. It's a machine. So, you continue to progress. You destroy many balloons, and you only get more and more powerful. Things become more and more difficult, but you also get better balloons. Then enter the sixth game, Bloons TD6. You truly are at the peak, and this is what we will call the peak of the monkey society, before its inevitable and painful downfall. It's also the peak of the war. At this point, the balloons send warriors your way that they will never send at you again. The DDTs and the bads. They are extremely strong, and the bads contain multiple ZOMGs, and DDTs. DDTs are camo and lead. They're truly challenging the tactician, the strategist, whatever you want to call it. Going a little bit beyond the canon area of this game, that's you, the player. But I would say that canonically it's a monkey as well. Someone telling all the other monkeys where to go, spending cash, spending everything they can to hire monkeys and build machines to protect themselves from the ever-increasing waves of balloons. Thing is, they keep losing though. In Bloons TD6, again, the war is at its peak. The balloons send more and more at you than they ever do, and stronger things at that. But at the same time, you're stronger than ever. Instead of having 2 upgrade paths that go to 4 or 8 upgrades for each monkey, you have 15. And many of the monkeys are very, very powerful. And that's not to mention new monkeys as well. You have heroes that automatically upgrade, getting better as they go on. You have many powerful things. Just as an example, take the true sun god. The Bloons society did start worshipping the sun god pretty early on in the lore, but eventually they will abandon him. As they struggle again, you have extreme power. You have the true sun god. You have strong monkeys, many abilities, powers. You are a very powerful society. But you can never destroy the balloons. There are infinite. Not even just in the lore, but literally. If you purchase the games right now, you could go on for hours, for so long. Eventually, it becomes practically impossible, physically impossible to beat it. There is no end of the rounds. You cannot beat Bloons TD6. You cannot beat any of those games. You are more powerful than you ever will be, but you cannot beat them. The next game in the series is Bloons TD3 or 2. Not chronologically, but canonically, in my timeline for the games. At this point, and in the games that follow, the balloons are winning. You're losing lives. Those balloons, whether sentient warriors, or perhaps they have poison in them that they're sending to the things. Perhaps the balloons are being controlled. They're not even truly sentient beings. But whatever they are, they're being sent to you, and they're winning. No matter what you did, no matter how powerful you were, they beat you. Again and again and again, slowly killing off your monkeys. No matter how many of them you popped. I mean, You're in the games that are earlier chronologically, um, in terms of order of release, but they're later on in the lore because that constant pain, that constant these constant enemies sent towards you, constantly losing the war, your society didn't function as well. And it makes sense. When all your resources are spent towards a war, they can't focus on other things. Eventually, making machines got harder. Getting good balloons got harder. Eventually, they stopped worshipping the sun god. It got harder and harder and harder. Well, I mean, they struggled. The monkeys struggled to defend. Now, they always struggled to defend, and you can get pretty far in pretty much all of the games. But they were less powerful, and they would continue to get less powerful. In the second Bloons TD game, Bloons TD 2, it only continued. Eventually, you're having less and less towers. The balloons, some would say, are weaker, and perhaps they're right, but they don't need to be as strong. They don't need to focus as many resources on you. They don't need DDTs or BADs. You'll die with the simple balloons, with red balloons or Moabs or whatever they need to send you. They don't have to send as much. You abandoned the sun god. You abandoned technology eventually. You didn't have the resources for it. And your society crumbled. Eventually, you get to Bloons TD1. The first game released, but the last game in the canon. At this point, you don't have many towers unlocked. In the other games, you may have 10 or 20 or even 30. You have heroes in Bloons TD6, but in this game you have few. The balloons come like they always do. Unending, uncaring. Maybe you just wanted land. Maybe there was some way that back in the beginning of this all, Bloons Monkey City, you could have bargained for land. Maybe you could have asked them. Maybe they would have been aggressive towards you, but maybe if the balloons had a heart, they could have just thought it was okay, since they already are the dominant species, the dominant force on the planet, in the universe, sending balloons to wherever you are, whether you're in a map that's in space, or just in a grassy plains area. They were everywhere, and they would not let you do anything. But anyway, society was crumbling completely at this point. You had few balloons, you had few upgrades, you were not even nearly as powerful as you used to be. And, well, what do you expect? You continue to lose. We don't have a post-apocalyptic Bloons tower defense game, but you were losing. And eventually, we have to assume that the monkeys all but disappeared. Maybe they weren't completely extinct, unless the balloons truly were that cruel. But for all intents and purposes, you didn't exist like you used to. Again, you had few towers. You had the dart monkey and the boomerang monkey and road spikes maybe. You didn't have, the druid or, you can't spam banana farms. There were limits. It was much more difficult to get far anymore. You were truly struggling. There wasn't much you could do. I did say that the balloons were cruel multiple times, that they held a grudge, that they were just destroying you. But we don't know. All we see is a war in Bloons Monkey City. All we see is you attacking. We don't see what happened before it. Did it just start like that? Did you just, head over there and then balloons tried to kill you? Or did you attack first? Did you pop them thinking they weren't real? What happened? What did the balloons do? It's a question that is interesting, at least to me. Who is the villain in these games? Are you? Did you start it? And if you did, was it on purpose? Did you really think it would destroy your society? Or did they start it? Or were both people at fault? Regardless, the balloons were more powerful. And from what we can tell, the monkeys all but disappeared. There are alternate ways you could read the lore, and there are some things that people may see as holes in this game, in this idea, in this timeline. But at the very least, I think it's an interesting way to look at it. Could look at it as an upward spiral as well, but this is kind of something that makes sense with how the games are actually played. You can never, ever, ever beat the Bloons. You can never, ever, ever make progress. But the Bloons, they can make progress on you. They hurt your lives. And yeah, you pop them, but you don't truly affect them, because they will go on forever and ever and ever. But eventually, you do die. Your town. Perhaps that means there are 200 people in the town, and yeah, the Bloons contain poison, but don't get caught up on exactly what's happening, but just the general idea. For some reason, the Bloons and the monkeys are at war, and by the end, they failed. They abandoned technology, they abandoned their sun god, they didn't have enough money to hire monkeys to defend people as much. They didn't even use money that much at all. I mean, they used it, but they didn't use it like they used to, with trophies and monkey money and different things you could do in a society of happy monkeys that enjoy their job, it appears. I mean, from the way some of the heroes talk in Bloons TD6, it seems that they weren't a depressed society, but they probably became one. They don't say anything in the other games, and I think that's because by Bloons TD1, what do they have? They're a gang of monkeys barely held together who may not even remember their past. All they know is that they want to fight Bloons. They want to try to save themselves. But they can't. No matter what they do, they will die. I hope you enjoyed this reading of the lore. This is only a basic kind of thing. I didn't do a bunch of research. I will try to provide more research for my theory, alternate theories, or just expand on this a little bit later, if you guys are interested. And again, my friend had a different view of the lore, of an upward trend. So that's about it, and I hope you enjoyed my video on the lore of Bloons TD, of the Bloons TD series. If you enjoyed, please like the video, and tell me if you have any thoughts on it. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.